Ramachandra from the NR Hour Core Show. This is episode 1018. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, on all the podcast platforms. And fans, please tune in on our Speaker app. We are joined by a really special guest. His name is J.R. Giddens. He's a former Kansas, New Mexico shooting guard. He got drafted by the Boston Celtics, played for the Celtics for 2 years, and he spent a lot of time overseas, man. What a great career overseas as a player. And one of my favorite players to watch, actually, in the NBA too, with the Celtics and obviously Kansas back in his Kansas days. But now he is the head coach for the Northern New Mexico women's basketball team, which we'll get to also. That's an amazing story right there about getting that job. And for you, J.R. Giddens, I just want to say thank you for joining on the show today. It's truly an honor. And fans, you can ask questions to J.R. today on the Speaker app. So fans' interactions always is good here. So, JR, thank you again. And how are you and your family doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm just happy to be up this morning in the gym trying to, get my day started off the right way. But appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And let's start with yesterday's game, the NBA Finals, Game 6. Let our fans know, what are your thoughts on that? Obviously, the Warriors won last night to capture especially for Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green getting their fourth rings. And Steve Kerr getting his 9th ring, 5 as a player and 4 as a coach. So what are your overall thoughts on yesterday's game?
Well, yesterday's game, the Celtics started out, with the lead and, with the Warriors being so experienced. I knew it was going to be a long game, but, they got, 4 rings for a reason. They had 3 previously until last night. So experience that from Steve Kerr and all of those veteran players, man. I knew that they were going to be tough to beat. I'm just really proud as Celtics. They were, and they lost to a great team, a dynasty. And I mean, when you got Steph and Klay and Steve Kerr over there, even Mike Brown, over there on that bench, there's a lot of wisdom over there on and off the court. So the Warriors they were going to be hard to beat, and they were the best team this year in the NBA in the show.
Yeah, so speaking of the Celtics, obviously they're young team. No one expected them to get to the finals. And obviously being a former Boston Celtics, what are you most looking forward to their future now, since now they have a young coach, obviously 2 great stars, and now they can build from this?
Well, I mean, in his first season there, man, you can't be upset with what he accomplished and the core of players that they have. They got a young core of players, and I'm pretty sure this off season they're about to make some moves and move the chess pieces around and try to come back and do the same thing that they did this year and just have win it all. So I mean, Boston's looking promising. They got a young group and new energetic coach, man. And shout out to Aaron Miles, because we played together out there in Kansas. My PG back. Yeah. The best PG I've ever played with in my life is Aaron Miles, man. And I was spoiled when I had him in Kansas. I didn't know how well he passed the ball, but I mean, it's Celtics. They got a good coaching staff, young core. I mean, I see only great things for them in the future. I'm pretty sure you do too.
Yeah, I really do see a lot of great things in the future, and I can't wait to see what they do for next season. But I want to get to your career. Tell our fans, when did you get interested in basketball, and who would you say some of your role models that you looked up to?
Well, I've been in love with basketball since like 6, 7 years old. Football was my first love. That's the first sport that I played, but I love basketball just as much. And I looked up to my dad and just, obviously Kobe Bryant. Yeah. It's so funny. I got a Kobe tattoo, a Black Mamba.
Oh wow.
So I mean, those were the guys. I mean, Tracy McGrady. I'm 37, so some of the guys that were in the league, Grant Hill, Anthony Hardaway, like they were. They were around that time. So, I looked up to a lot of those guys. But, man, I've always had this love for basketball. I still do. And that's why I feel like I got the best job in the world, because I'm coaching college basketball now and just sharing all my knowledge with these young players and with their basketball journey.
Yeah, so speaking of Kobe, obviously you got to play. I'm sure you got to play against Kobe when you were with the Celtics. But just talk about like his presence on the court, and obviously just a devastating thing what happened to him and his family with his daughter too. But just take when you were playing the Lakers, just talk about Kobe's presence on the court when you got to play against him.
So good at everything. He could score from every tier. So, from shooting long range threes, mid range, getting to the rack, knocking down free throws, and just his IQ. You could just, Kobe's special. You could tell he put a lot of work off into his game, and just watching that guy up close, it was crazy. I mean, Kobe's Kobe. That's all you can say about that, man. Kobe is Kobe.
So would you say watching him made you wanted to become a shooting guard, and how did you become a shooting guard?
Well, I think my true position is a three. I'm a small forward, so even though I'm 6'5", I'm kind of I'm more of a driver than shooting. I mean, in Kansas, I shot a lot of threes. That was my role, and then gained like 30 pounds and started driving to the basket. So got a few little LBs on me and changed my game up. But no, Kobe is the guy that I studied the most and tried to emulate his. He's just for any guard, Kobe is he was the Mike of our generation. Literally they played exactly the same carbon copy. You could tell Kobe studied Mike to a T, from his ways to his mid-range game. Like I always say this, like that's why it's like even when like if anybody ever asked me my personal ranking of like Jordan, Mike, LeBron, Kobe, and all of these, I always have to say like there would be Kobe wouldn't have that game if it wasn't for Jordan. He emulated his game after the greatest player of all time. Mike is number one for me. So if Mike wasn't Mike, would Kobe have that same game? I mean, he probably would have emulated somebody else. But at the end of the day, that's why it's for a little bit. I always put Kobe down just a little bit in that list because, you stole all of Mike's moves. Yeah. You're literally carbon copy of Mike, obvious. But, I don't know who you thought shot the ball better. I think Kobe shot the ball better.
I think Kobe shot the ball better. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and did some other things better than Mike. But at the end of the day, he used his blueprint exactly because changing up and playing in that mid post changed up everything. Because when Mike was young, he used to play away from the basket, and then you get older, you play at the mid range. So as soon as he catches it, he's in range. He can fade, and it just changed up the game.
Yeah, so we are live with former NBA, former overseas player J.R. Giddens, shooting guard, small forward. We already have a fan question for you that's popping in here. One of our fans want to know, what are your thoughts on Andrew Wiggins, who went to Kansas also, like you, winning a championship yesterday?
I think that was amazing. And Wiggins is a great player. Like if you look at his resume, that dude's the number one pick. He's, I think he was Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty sure he's already been voted an All-Star. He was just out there in Minnesota. But I'll say this, the Warriors don't win without Andrew Wiggins. Just his defensive presence and what he was able to do and rebounding and stuff, as well as getting a bucket. Like we know Steph's the greatest shooter of all time, but Steph's not out there getting key defensive plays back to back like Wiggins was. Steph is Steph. But without Andrew Wiggins, I don't see the Warriors winning because the Celtics, one thing that they do, they play really good defense. The defense actually saves them, in some situations.
And I feel like anybody who goes to the Warriors, they fit seamlessly. I think Andrew Wiggins found a home now in Golden State where he can excel with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and he deserves another contract, in my opinion. This guy has worked hard throughout his career, obviously coming from Kansas, just like you. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think he deserves another? He definitely deserves another contract.
Well, he's about to get a bag for sure. They're gonna have to pay that man, but he's worth every penny of it. I mean, just the mindset that he had going to the Warriors, he could have been positive in that move. You know what I'm saying? He's been nothing but positive in that situation, and they love him being there. And like I said, man, they don't win that championship without him. Even if they have another player, I still don't think that he could have did the things that Andrew Wiggins does, because Andrew Wiggins is a number one pick. He's a superstar. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he's going to play better with those other players, around him. And he's smart enough to know his role like Draymond, and he's a great fit for Golden State because they can defend a lot of positions, and his height and his size bothers people. So when his athleticism, it bothers people defensively, and that's what they need when Klay can't be the Klay of old, because Klay was a defensive stopper before, and he's still getting his game back, and recovering. That was key for them because he just did what Klay did and can still go get you a bucket at the same time.
Yeah, so
And
tell her.
he flushes over people and
Yeah,
finishes and does things like he's still
he's.
stupid athletic.
I don't know. I think. I don't know if he had a dunk. He had a monster dunk in the playoffs this year. I forgot against who, but he threw down a monster dunk against someone. But tell our fans, take us back to your Kansas days. What was it like playing for Kansas and Coach Bill Self? What did you learn from him? And take us back to some of your best moments at Kansas.
Man, Kansas my freshman year was amazing. We ended up going to the Elite Eight, and Coach Shelf, he just gave me a lot of confidence, and he really took his time with me, and I appreciate that. Coach Shelf, he's an amazing coach, man. I appreciate him more now that I'm older than when I was there. But playing for Kansas is crazy because you sell out every game, the atmosphere, Big 12 conference, and you got the ESPN games and stuff like that, and it's just it's one of the greatest college franchises out there. I mean, greatest college organizations of all time from top to bottom. It was a truly amazing experience playing out there for 2 years.
Yeah, and also obviously after Kansas, you went to New Mexico. So take us to that thought process. What happened over there? What made you go to New Mexico after Kansas?
I came to New Mexico because of Richie McKay. He did a good job of recruiting me, and I'm glad that he brought me here because I was able to reinvent myself, gain some weight, change my game, mature a little bit, and when you're in Kansas, there's the team. We had a deeper team, and here I had more of a role of what do you say? I had a bigger role here at New Mexico, and I really felt like it helped my game. And I was able to get drafted out of here, and it was here now.
Yeah, so we have another fan question for you. Someone wants to know who was the toughest player you had to guard against in the NBA?
Oh, Kobe, KD, and Carmelo
Hmm.
for me, and obviously LeBron.
Yeah.
But those guys were pretty tough to guard, especially Carmelo because he's always just getting contact and separation and stuff like that. And obviously how Kobe is. I mean, shoot, Kobe's Kobe.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, he's gonna make you pay. But no, those guys definitely they made me work every time I guarded them. So it was a lot of fun though. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody knows about this story here because when you accepted the offer, the scholarship from Kansas, Roy Williams was there as a head coach before he left, and then before Bill Self came in. So what was that? And then Roy Williams persuaded you to stay at Kansas after he left, and before Bill Self came in. So what was it like getting recruited by another legendary coach in Roy Williams?
I mean, every time I've seen Roy Williams, he's had a glow to him. Like I don't know, like he just has that aura. And I was like, Kansas. When I committed to Kansas, they had just came off of a Final Four, so I committed my junior year, and then they doubled up and went back to back Final Four. So coming in as an incoming freshman, I mean, Roy Williams he was on fire, and it was just. I was so happy that they offered me because I'm a big Paul Pierce fan.
Yeah.
And Kansas fan, Kurt Heinrich and all that, being an Oklahoma guy. And so when he left and went to North Carolina, Bill Self came in, and he's an Oklahoma guy. So it was just that bond right there, and him being under Eddie Sutton and stuff like that. Rest in peace. It was a good vibe. And Bill Self, obviously, he's Bill Self. So, I mean, his resume speaks for itself, man. That dude's truly amazing. But yeah, it was pretty dope, man.
Yeah. So speaking of Kansas, what was it like seeing your former college and Bill Self winning another national championship this year? Amazing run for them, and obviously they capped it off with the national championship.
Oh man, I was so happy for him. So this year we played Haskell University out there in Lawrence, so I got a chance to meet up with him this year and see their practices right before they went into the tournament, and, meet the players and stuff like that. So I was already cheering for them, but I mean, just when I saw them practice up there, they looked elite and just like good vibe, good team rhythm, like everything was flowing when I was up there. So when I saw them get hot in the tournament, and that's the best time to get hot, I had a feeling that they were going to try to take it all, and that's how that Kansas Magic was. Bill Self did it again. It was truly amazing to watch what they did this year.
Yeah, so we have another fan question. One of our fans want to know, what was your routine before going into a game?
My routine is I like to start in close to the basket, make sure I get my shot popping and just warm like that. Little handles, defensive shuffles, and you just kind of work on a little bit of everything. And depending on what team I'm playing for, and you kind of know the offense where you're going to get your shots, just practicing those shots and just trying to make sure you got a good rhythm and flow for the game. That's pretty much my routine.
Yeah, so now take us to the draft call, to the NBA draft, where you got selected by the historic franchise in the Boston Celtics. Man, and what was the call like with Coach Doc Rivers and Danny Ainge, the front office? What was the call like?
Well, I don't remember the call from them, but I remember watching the draft with my college team out here. So my agent calls me in minutes. And he's like, I don't know if the Celtics are going to take you, this and this and this. Obviously, this guy knows this. I don't know. So I'm nervous. And they said my name, and we were on the phone. Everybody in the room tackled me, screaming. That's the only phone call that I remember. If I talked to Danny Ainge or Doc, I don't remember that. I just remember the phone call with my agent. In that moment, it was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, so now what goes through your mind once you get drafted by the Celtics? And obviously, your favorite player, Paul Pierce, played at Kansas just like you, and he played with you played with him in Boston. So what was that like going to Boston and playing with players like Ray Allen, KG, Paul Pierce, and the rest of the team?
Oh man, it was an amazing experience because those guys are Hall of Famers, and you could just see the separation between them and other players, and their preparation and their play, their attitude, mentality. Like it was just, you could tell those guys were on a different level, and just that whole organization. Boston's a historic organization, one of the greatest of all time, and so it was an amazing experience, top to bottom. And I really was blessed to be a part of that for a few years.
Yeah, so another fan question just popped in. Someone wants to know, how tough is it for opposing teams to play in the TD Garden?
It's the Garden. You talking about the Boston Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tough because it's so historic. Like the fans, the gym. It's just the aura about it, the vibe, the championship aura.
Yeah. So what did you learn when you were in Boston for 2 years? What did you learn from Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce? What did you learn from them?
Excuse me, let me move away. Man, I learned a lot from them, man. They're just really good players. Like I said, just Paul lifting weights on game day, and just the way that he approached things, just seeing his mannerisms and how he pushed himself. And KG, he's crazy, high impact, high energy all the time. And that dude was just intense, man. You got to love his energy, man. Like, I mean, he's the most intense player I've ever been around. And then Ray's just calm and cool, collected, and it's just, always has his head on. Out of those three, out of the big three, he was the one that showed the least amount of emotion. You know what I'm saying? Ray was cooler. So, and how different all of those guys were, the swags and their approach to the game, it was really crazy, man. Like, I really enjoyed that, man. Like, it was, I'm older and I really realized how unique that situation was now.
I gotta ask you this. I'm just curious, who was more crazy when you were with Boston, Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk, or Glenn Baby Davis?
Baby was more erratic. He just, he's more emotional than Perk. Let's just say that. Big Baby was more emotional than Perk, and then Big Perk, he's a country guy from Beaumont, Texas. Like he's intense in his own way, but that's why that team was so good. They had a lot of different pieces, a lot of different personalities, and they were able to manage that good enough to win themselves a world championship.
And for you in your career, you got to go from Bill Self, from Roy Williams to who recruited you to Bill Self, now to Doc Rivers. So what was it like playing underneath Doc Rivers, and what did you learn from him, especially Doc Rivers?
I mean, I just don't think that was a good fit for me. Obviously, he didn't give me too much playing time, but Doc's a great coach. I used to have some resentment against him in the past, and now as being a coach, I'm just, that just wasn't the right fit for me. But he's a great coach. He's a legendary coach. every coach isn't for you, or every coach doesn't like your game, and so it kind of was what it was.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what did it mean to you to wear the Boston Celtics uniform every home game, playing in front of those amazing fans at the TD Garden? Take us to that. What did that mean to you?
Because, like I said, they had just won a championship, so they were trying to repeat, and
Yeah.
just coming in as a rookie, seeing how serious every game was for where you're trying to finish in your conference, and the matchups and who you play. That's all important. So it was just seeing all of that, and how serious, like when you're going from college to pro, you don't see that. And sometimes you go to an NBA team and they're not competing for a championship. Maybe they got young talent and they're trying to develop that. When you go off in that organization, like just the preciseness and how they had everything down, to a T, and their preparation and their vision, and it was crazy, man. It was so intense.
Oh, yeah. So we have another fan question. Someone wants to know, how did you stay ready even though you didn't get enough playing time, but you never know, anything could happen with an injury or something. You can come off on the bench. So they want to know, how did you stay ready?
Well, I mean, every day after practice, you're doing extra workouts, you're playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2, whatever they want you to do. So you're going to be able to stay ready. And then, sometimes, like for me, I played in D League. So I'd go down to the D League for a month, work on my game, try to develop myself more. And so that's how you fine tune your game. You're always just chasing, the way to find the edge to get better and stuff like that. So whenever you do get an opportunity, you got to make sure that you're ready when your number's called.
Were you upset or surprised that Doc Rivers did not give you enough playing time with that team?
Yeah, for sure. Because I felt like I could have helped them, especially when you want to play. Nobody wants to sit on the bench and stuff like that. So I mean, I wish he would have gave me a chance. It just wasn't a good fit. So.
All right. So another fan question. They want to know, what was your hype music?
I mean, it could be anything. Like this might be crazy to say this, I might be listening to Beyonce, and she's just going crazy and instead of calmness, or I could be listening to some like gangster rap and getting myself hyped. So whatever song comes in, you just kind of lock in and channel in. But I mean, for the most part, I try to play something that'll get me a little amped up.
Hey, Drake just dropped a new album this morning, so you can check
He
that
did.
out. Yeah.
I saw some people online saying some stuff, but I mean, there's always haters. They're gonna talk with my favorite, so I can't wait to hear that. I saw some mixed reviews about that this morning.
Oh wow. Yeah. So now tell our fans. Obviously, you went overseas to play basketball. You had a great overseas career, in my opinion. That's where you made your talent shown, because I felt like that some NBA teams needed to give you more of a chance. But when you went overseas, what was that adjustment period like for you? And and obviously the different time zones, and what was the adjustment period for you going overseas?
Dude, it's a big adjustment. Like you said, the time zone and the style of basketball are the top two things. When I first got to Europe, you couldn't just, I'm right-handed. You can't just take the ball and go right. That's travel. You got to knock the ball down. So just adjusting to the different styles and different culture, different life, different language, you really are foreign, and you just try to adapt and find a niche and fit in. But I mean, I played in so many countries and had a lot of amazing experiences, a lot of fun, man. I wouldn't change that for the world. I mean, I never thought like that, because you never think that you're gonna not be in the NBA and stuff. And so when I went over there to Europe, it was just a different eye-opening experience. And I really enjoyed it. And now I have a son that's international. He's a Dominican. So my son is 5. So it's like, I've been able to enjoy the world.
Yeah. So for you, what was it like for you just moving from country to country and experience different cultures and different food and different languages? And were you able to learn some of the languages while you were there overseas?
Been able to learn, like when you play in the country, you're going to pick up on some of the words here and there. But I learned how to speak Spanish because, my son's 5 now and he speaks Spanish. So I'm probably like 85% fluent.
Oh,
But it's definitely fun to learn a different language. And then also, since I live out here in New Mexico, like where I'm at right now in Santa Fe, there's a lot of
if I think it froze up. Yeah,
yeah.
I couldn't hear you. What was what you were saying about the?
I can't hear your question clearly. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, well, what did you talk? You were saying about the languages in New Mexico or something, or they speak?
Oh yeah, they speak Spanish out here, and so some days, I'll speak in Spanish 80% of the day. Especially, when I'm up north, they tend to speak more Spanish up here. So it helps me, communicate with people that I never be able to communicate with before, and it's fun when you can speak 2 languages.
Yeah.
It kind of surprises people. But just living in New Mexico, where we have a lot of Hispanic and Mexican population, now I understand a lot of things that are being said around me, and it's just fun to be up on that because before it was Charlie Brown's teacher. Now I can hear families like saying, "Hey, sit up at the table, eat your food, and stop messing with your sister," because I understand what's going on right now, and it's just fun to be able to pick up on a different language.
Yeah, so tell our fans about some of your best moments in overseas, and tell us about some of your best games while you were at overseas.
Some of my best games overseas, they were my first game in the EuroLeague. Actually, that was a good game for me. We played versus Russia, Kimki, and that's when they had Keith Langford, another Kansas guy that I played with.
Yeah.
And so, I had a double that game, and it was my first game in the EuroLeague, and just some games. And when I played in Argentina, we played in the it's called the Ligas Las Americas. I think they take the top 2 to 3 teams from all the Latin American countries, and tournament we ended up making the Final 4. And I had some really good games off in there, so it was fun to play, high level EuroLeague, high level Latin America, because that's obviously the best levels that you want to be at and be able to perform well. So I really enjoyed that.
So we have another fan question. They want to know, even though you're a head coach right now, but do you miss playing the game?
Well, shoot, I still play all the time. I played in TBT last year with the team in Chandler. We're gonna play again. Actually, it's in March. No, my bad. It's in July. It's coming up in probably about a month. We have our own region out here at the pit, so people could tune in to that. And the TBT, $1 million winner take all. So yes, I miss playing. But so I was explaining this to my friend the other day. I played in the pro-am out here, and we had a back to. So we had to play like 9:30 that night and like 9 again in the morning. I'm 37. I'm not going to be able to play at 9 in the morning. So we win that first game. I scored about 36 points, had a really good game. And then you're out. So it's like, honestly, there's no difference whether I'm playing or whether I'm coaching. I'm still getting that same feeling, that rush from basketball. Like that's how the game is for me now. So yes, I miss it, but I'm still playing it just in a different way.
Yeah. So, would you consider the Big 3 league eventually down the line?
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the Big 3 league with Ice Cube.
Oh no, I know I could play in that for sure. It's a half-court league, but right now I'm going into my third coaching, and so playing isn't even on my mind. I'm just all focused on just coaching and trying to learn as much and start my coaching career because I played 12 years pro. That's gone, and I've accepted that. So now I'm just on the coaching ground. Like if I got offered a spot in the Big Three to go coach, most likely I would go. You know, especially if I get the job that I want in college coaching, then you know I'd be trying to stay more on that path. But Big Three is a nice league, man. I would definitely like to play in it, but I'm just so focused on coaching right now. That's not in my plans.
Yeah. So speaking of coaching, and how grateful are you to be in this position right now to be able to play the game you loved for 12 years, and now sharing your experiences and your moments and as a player, now as a coach to these young women. And how grateful are you that Northern New Mexico gave you the opportunity to coach this team?
Man, I'm very grateful because you know a lot of athletes struggle in that transition from going to pro and what they're going to do next. And I was able to get a great opportunity at Northern to be the head women's coach and just start my coaching career there. And it's just been, you know, like I said, it's a blessing because when I was earlier in my career, I really didn't know what I wanted to do after basketball. Like coaching wasn't even on my mind. And then the last few years of my playing career, I figured I wanted to go off into coaching. So just to be able to transition off into that in the situation that I'm in, man, I'm very blessed. God is good, man. I'm very fortunate because I really love my job, man. I love what I do.
Yeah. So what's it been like for you? Obviously, you're heading into your third year. What's it been like for you coaching these young women, trying to get them better, and trying to and then stay focused, stay locked in, and then sharing some of your experiences to them?
Could you repeat the last part you cut out? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, yeah. So what was it like? What's it like? What's it been like for you coaching these young women and sharing your experiences to them?
Oh man, it's been amazing because you learn from them just as much as they learn from you, and just you know since I'm very new to this coaching game, man, I'm learning a lot. It's just you know I'm trying to teach them while teaching myself and just build my culture. And you know since I'm so new to this, everything is new to me. You know, even on senior night, like some of my girls would be like, "Coach," because we're in AI, they'll be like, "Coach, what'd you get us?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot. I got to go put something together real fast." So I mean, it's crazy, man. It's a lot of experience. I mean, we drive the buses. We'll drive from New Mexico to. I drive the bus from New Mexico to California. So you know, we're eating together, and I'm just, you know, like I said, you really get a chance to know your team and just build, you know, that bond with them and their culture, and just try to, you know, help them become better student athletes. And my biggest thing is I'm trying to transition them for after basketball because you know it ends. And so it's a mix now, you know, and I'm learning a lot. You know, and I know a lot more now than I knew like a year ago. So a year ago, I realized I didn't know anything. So when we're talking right now, all these memories are just coming back into my head in this season and trying to get, you know, big road wins. So my first game of the season, we're down 20 at halftime. Whoa. The team comes out, the first 4 shots of the game, they go 3 or 4 from 3. And it was just, you know, we're down 20 and I'm like, can I do this? Am I supposed to be here? And then we come back and we win that game and we're on the road. My girls don't know how special that is to me because, you know, that was my first college game. We went 3-0 my first 3 games. So I won my first 3 games. And so it was a crazy experience, man, because, you know, when you're coaching, you can't control anything. It's really them. You're making a play call and adjustment. And if they execute it, maybe, you know, I don't want to. My nightmare was like not to get blown out in my first college game. We were getting blown out at halftime. So crazy, man.
Well, I mean, now it's really important to build that bond, like you said, chemistry. Same thing while you were in the NBA and overseas too. It's really important to build that bond with your team and your players. And now looking forward, now heading to your third year, what are you most looking forward to? What have you guys been working on as a team getting ready for next season?
Man, we got to work on a little bit. Want to build a culture. You know, and trying not to make mistakes and do this. And now I really realize it is that culture and just trying to build that from day one. is the best, because you're gonna have ups and downs during the season, but you want to have a good culture and to be a good place, because we all go through so much shit in the world. We got to have something where it can be peaceful. So hopefully it can be a more family like atmosphere. But I mean, the sports is gonna be hectic. Athletes to come and have a good college experience, and I think that starts with me. So I got to be better in setting the tone for our culture, and so that's number one.
Yeah, so we have another fan question for you. They want to know, would you consider coaching in the NBA down the line?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I see a lot of my friends are there, and being around the game of basketball and playing there. Maybe it'd be nice. I mean, I want to start off in college because I'm here now, but I wouldn't, if that opportunity, I wouldn't turn it down. But right now, my goal is to be the greatest college coach for the history of the New Mexico Lobos. That's what I want. Honestly, I want to get coach in my alma mater and help these on the men's side or the women's, preferably the men's. But that's my new goal. But yeah, if that opportunity presented itself, heck yeah, but I like right now, I kind of like dealing with the college athletes and that connect that I have with them, because I played in college, and I understand everything that they're going through playing in two schools and all the emotions. I feel like I would really like to help these younger athletes get to the NBA. But if opportunity presents itself, sure, I'd be on the Celtics bench going, go Celtics. Like, hey, y'all move the ball around, like whatever.
Hey, you never know. You might be on an Ime Udoka staff with Damian Sotomayor. You never know.
That would be nice.
Hey, that gym must be lit up in there. That it's like it's like a club in there.
I mean, the crazy thing is like they play their own music all the time, but Santa Fe is just a different city, man. Albuquerque is the big city, but Santa Fe is the capital, and up here at this gym, wow, I've seen everything, man. Like this, Santa Fe is different, so we're jamming right now.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, so before the last two things here, what's it like seeing the first time head coaches getting opportunities now in the NBA? Like, for example, Steve Nash, Ime Udoka, Willie Green. What do you like about that now, the new wave in NBA, having first time head coaches?
Really, obviously, gonna be supportive of Black coaches. I support anybody, Black, white, or whatever. But it's good to see that those players are getting these opportunities to be coaches, because there obviously needed to be a change with the system. It seems like they're going in the right direction and trying to do things, and giving those guys those opportunities. And even for myself, as being a former player, I want to be able to get these opportunities to coach and college and these jobs and stuff like that, because when you played so long, you have that experience. And I think anybody can study X's and O's, and being a former player isn't going to make you a good coach. But I definitely like to see more of us getting those opportunities now to go off into the coaching game and use all of these experienced years that we have with playing and trying to mix that with the other side of basketball, and just being able to see what we can do with that. Most of those guys will be successful.
Yeah. And the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Okay. Yeah, send that to me.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the sanitary workers right now?
Oh man, just thank everybody for the service, and we're very grateful and appreciative of what they do, and even though they don't get the most credit for it, some of us realize how important they are, and thank you for your services.
So there you have it. That wraps up episode 1018 with former Kansas, New Mexico, NBA overseas shooting guard, small forward J.R. Giddens. He's now he's heading into his third year as a head coach for the women's Northern New Mexico basketball team. Man, thank you for joining the show today. It's truly an honor, and thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions to J.R. today. And man, he did the interview live from the gym, which is awesome. Lit. It was lit. There you go. But thank you again for. Oh my god. But thank you again for coming on the show. We would love to have you back eventually down the line so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work as a head coach, man. Good luck, and we hope to see you one day in the NBA as a coach. But thank you again.
I appreciate you having me on, and thank you for letting me do this interview in the gym, man. All right.